Yuuji was a poor child who was bullied by his dad at a young age for his lack of talent. He lived in the shadows of his genius sister, who made her family rich with her talents. But when a tragedy struck their home, Yuuji became an orphan that was trained by evil people to become the coldest elite soldier in the world. His journey, however, was one of the coldest anyone has ever had to witness. His parents always neglected him because he never had the same talent his sister Kazuki did. At a young age, her sketches would marvel her father, and her talent succeeded that of famous artists, allowing her to win numerous art competitions and have her work sell for millions of dollars. Yuuji grew up avoiding his little sister because everyone made fun of him when he was with her. Kazuki wanted to fill the void her brother was feeling, so she became the only person who would play with him and even teach him how to throw balls. They would spend time together, and his sister supported him through everything, encouraging him to reach for his dreams because he had extraordinary potential. She was the only thing that ever brought him joy and inspired him to become like her. Even the bad drawings he would create, she would treasure them to boost his confidence. Their father, however, continued mocking Yuuji's work to the point where Yu destroyed his own work from embarrassment. On a random day, Yu met a strange man inside his home who asked him if he would like a piece of chocolate from an interesting box. His father called Yui an embarrassment, but the mysterious man gives a sly smile. As years passed, Kazuki began hiding her talent and even canceled her art studies in Paris. Instead, she would spend time reading manga with her brother, saying that he should do this to make friends, rather than being lonely his entire life. She doesn't want Yu to become the same person as their father and tells him to start working on making some friends. At the same time, her occasional paintings became the sole income of their family, but their treatment of Yu would get worse. His family would go out to eat every night, but only left cold, stale bread. For him, the only way he could eat the dry bread was by soaking it with water. Upon seeing this, Kazuki screamed at him to eat any of the food in the fridge, but Yu tells her that his parents would be mad at him if he did that. Kazuki's sadness grows, apologizing for not knowing how badly Yuuji's been treated and yelling at her parents for his mistreatment. Even then, nothing improved. His father would continue to blatantly show his hatred. And his mom began openly neglecting him to avoid his father's wrath. Once Yuuji came home late and told his sister that he was playing with a friend, Kazuki wonders if she's a girl, which she tells her that it was, but worries that she would bully his new friend. She tells him that she's trying to determine if his friends are appropriate for him and gets mad at him for constantly making friends with girls. Kazuki's jealousy grows and she yells at him that he needs to get her permission to be friends with girls. Yuuji accepts and she holds his hand, telling him that she'll find the right girl for him. One day later that same day, Kazuki asked him if he would like to take a bath with her as normal siblings. Kazuki told him that siblings always do this and asked him if he ever kissed a girl before like they do in the manga. Kazuki kissed him that day, telling him that this is the true love she shares with him and taught him all kinds of things. Eventually, she enrolled at a regular high school and joined the basketball team to hide her incredible talents. Her friends became like pawns of hers as she manipulated them, but her influence extended to her manipulation of her parents, and that scared Yu more than anything. But Yu depended on his sister, wishing that he could continue living that way forever. Until the day of the tragedy, a bus had crashed into a ravine and a girl with red hair was the only survivor. Yuuji's father fell into depression and turned to the bottle. His wrath began growing and his mother began hiding him whenever his father came home. The only thing Yu would remember is hearing his father yelling at his mom as she would just take it and say, "I'm sorry." He became the worst father imaginable. So Yu and his mother ran away to a new home where she finally treated him like a normal son. He would enjoy her hand cooking and felt like he was living in heaven, even if they were broke. As long as they were away from their father, they found happiness together like that. But their peace wouldn't last, and a year later, Yuuji's father had finally found them again. He tells Yuuji's mom that she will lay him another golden egg, and Yu tries to tell his father to stop. He couldn't bear seeing his mother like that, but his dad knocked him into the fridge. As this occurred, Yu stared at his father and was determined to end him. He remembered his sister asking him which hand he would use to kill a man. He comforts his mom and she asks him how far they should run this time. She tells him to run first and that she will join him afterward, giving him her entire life savings. She tells him to run to the train station and tells him good luck doing it on his own. Without a second thought, Yuuji obeys his mom and runs to the train station. But hours pass and he begins hearing the ambulance sirens. As Yuuji heads back to his home, he finds that his father had been slashed and enters his home only to find that he would never be able to talk to his mother again. After that day, his consciousness faded, and he later woke up inside a hospital with only a note left from his mother. She asked him for forgiveness, wondering where she went wrong and wishing that he could keep living on with nowhere to go as an orphan. The mysterious man, Ray, became his guardian and began dressing him up as his little sister. But Yuuji attempted to ignore his harassing guardian as he now had walls where he could eat and sleep. In nights passed, but on one of them Rei's bodyguard came and was ready to harass Yuuji, but met his doom by Eugeni's hand. Rei came in surprised that Yui was able to follow through with it and congratulates him on defending himself as he should have. Yui asks if Rei is mad. Rei told him that he will make him into a strong tool and sent him to his military compound to train him. His days were spent becoming the coldest soldier, and he happened to be Rei's favorite pupil, but that only caused the other kids to keep bullying him. There was only one person who was kind to him, a girl named Marlene who had no memory of her past. She would treat him and even save her food for him, and he thought that she was the only person he could rely on. Rei would go by the name of Oslo on this island and would even train using real knives with Yuuji. He taught him to rely on knives and to kill before he gets killed. After all, everyone in the world was his enemy, including his own family. Oslo brainwashed him into believing that he was his only ally. The day of the final exam came and his test was to kill the person standing in front of him, but it happened to be none other than Marlene. He prepared to face off against her, and he began running towards her, punching her and knocking her down. His agility surpassed hers and his blows knocked her down. Even as she tried to stand back up, he delivered a kick that knocked her back onto the ground. But his memories of his mother being hurt by his father began flashing in his head. He remembered the images he saw that day. Eye and his mind began shattering during the match. Marlene used it to her advantage and kicked him down. Standing on top of him and smiling, she began punching him, and Yu believed that this was all to pay for his sin of ending his father before he knew it. Yu had lost and became a disappointment for Oslo inside the jail cell. Marlene comes in to treat his wounds, crying and apologizing for hurting him because she wished she hadn't done that to him. Marlene would continue trying to feed him and being the only one talking to him until the day of her graduation. She told him goodbye and that she would see him again, but that was the last time he ever saw and talked to Marlene. The nurse revealed the sad news to Yui after her first job, and Yui wondered if he'd been able to save her by beating her instead of being kind. After graduating, Yui took on his first assassination mission and disguised as a maid into a rich man's room. While he was distracted, Yui managed to complete his mission. Its assassinations continued being successful until one day they broke into Oslo's home. The law enforcement, destroyed all of the people standing in their way and nearly cornered Oslo. After destroying all of his security, it discovered an underground passage and a steel door that guarded it. After blowing it up, the only thing they found was a white-haired child sitting inside, and Eugene's white hair fell off. Misako looks at the boy, realizing that she's found something interesting. Oslo was able to escape through the water. Asuko decides to take Yui with her to Japan, but JB decides to follow her along because she needs to supervise the two of them inside the hospital. Oko commands him to get out of bed. Within the next 40 seconds, she hits him in the head and continues threatening him. So JB yells at her to be more gentle with the kid, but Yui has never experienced kindness and wouldn't know how to respond. So Oko treats him like garbage and tells him to cut this out. She grabs his face, saying that she's going to be his god from now on. Inside her home, she commands him to change his dirty clothes, but what they see shocks them in their place. His body is filled with scars and gun wounds, and he hasn't eaten in weeks. Oseko tells JB to bring drinks and food for them. But at the dinner table, Yumujin doesn't eat. Instead, when a fly comes by, he crushes it with his hand. As he stares at the fly, his mind freezes and he screams in fear and throws up as Seiko comes to comfort him, telling him not to puke in her disgusting home. He sleeps at night, and as Seiko realizes that his mind is more broken than she thought, because while she bathed him, she saw 2 gun wounds, countless knife gouges, and broken bones. Oko thinks it may have been easier for him to just unalive, but she vows that she will protect him as his god. The next morning, Oasio is sitting on top of Yui, attempting to force him to eat. But Yui begs JB to save him as Soko tells him to quit sweet-talking the dumb blonde because she's so lonely and stupid, she'll listen to anything. JB tells Yui to toughen up, but he tells her that she has no idea what Soko's been preparing for him. Inside the kitchen, JB takes one good look at the food and realizes that she's holding. Dear plot, she runs faster than Sonic into the bathroom and spends the rest of the afternoon cooking food for Yu. Asako thinks that he will still be stubborn, but when JB sticks her wet blonde rice in his face, he decides to eat it out. Oko gets Yu his own puppy that will now be his partner and tells him to take good care of it. Yu decides to name it John Doe, which is the code name for a corpse in the military. The Soko looks at him playing with his puppy, and JB thinks that this is the first time she's ever seen him act like an actual kid. A few months pass, and Oko decides to quit her job for the intelligence agency. JB warns her that she'll be imprisoned or executed if she just quits like this, and wonders if Yui is the reason she's been changing. Oko reveals that she's become afraid of dying because she has to take care of Yu, but that she's also beginning to lose vision in her eye and can't be a good sniper anymore at night. She goes outside and sees Yu staring at the stars and crying. Yuuji continues growing, and as he goes on a run, he remembers Aistio's words that he needs to run faster to be popular with the girls in elementary school. As he continues growing, Asako tells him that running isn't enough in middle school and that the bad boys who are capable of fighting are the ones who get girls. She begins training him to toughen up, teaching him to be a person who is strong and fights for the right reasons. Instead of using his strength to harm others, she teaches him to use whatever he needs to win. So he calls out for his dog to bite her. Finally, she teaches him that fighters are only popular in middle school and that girls only like smart people in high school. If only that was the case for me. Asako makes him read all kinds of books, whether it's manga or non-fiction, telling him that she'll buy him everything. After all of his reading, he finds a Seiko cleaning her gun while smoking. She asks him if he's ever fired one of these before and takes him to the wilderness the next day. He fires his first shot from 300 meters and completely misses. However, he's determined to get it in the next shot, and his Seiko promises him a present. If he does, he aims and fires, hitting the target as promised.